The young, impressionable campers aren't even safe? Like, at all? Slappy would never. Fear Street Part 2, 1978, takes place in Shadyside, 1978. School's out for summer and the activities at Camp Nightwing are about to begin. But when another Shadysider is possessed with the urge to kill, the fun in the sun becomes a gruesome fight for survival. Fear Street 1978 gives a thrilling blend of 1970s and 1980s rough around the edges horror. While Fear Street 1994 led with the slasher subgenre of horror while giving hints of the supernatural, 1978 makes the paranormal take center stage. Those who enjoy the Friday the 13th franchise and films similar to it will appreciate the similarities in this part 2 of Fear Street. But Fear Street 1978 stands out with a way more tragic and dark story, while blowing away tropes of who's allowed to meet their demise in horror pictures. It's super bloody and high on the brutality, and somehow manages to feel scarier than the first installment. Hey Twisted people, it's your Twisted Woman here, Chauncey K. Robinson, and today I am doing a spoiler-free review of Fear Street Part 2, 1978. But before we get into that, I want you to tell me down in the comment section, what is your fave horror movie that takes place at a summer camp? And don't worry, it's totally fine to name a Friday the 13th movie. Let me know down below. Okay, so the first thing I will say about Fear Street Part 2 is that somehow it's creepier and scarier than the first installment. And if you watched my review of Fear Street Part 1, 1994, then you know that I thought that movie was pretty solid when it came to the jump scares and the fear factor. And somehow Part 2 manages to go higher than that. Now, this may be because I am one of those people that are partial to horror movies that take place in summer camps and the dark woods and things like that. I just think there's something very eerie about nature in general, so that might have added to the creep factor for me. This movie is also way more violent, and that may be because of the weapon of choice of the killer in this particular one, that it is just totally, utterly gruesome, and they show you the kills. They really show you the kills. And I'm not sure if that was exactly needed necessarily, but I will say that the brutality that it shows drives home just how high stakes and serious what is going on is. So you can't just, as sometimes we do with movies like this that take place in summer camps and horny teenagers or horny counselors and young kids who don't know any better and things like that. We kind of just, we add the body count and we think, okay, that's cool. That's a cool kill. But I think because of how brutal some of these scenes are and who actually is killed, there's a lot more weight there. This movie throws out the rules. Now, I will say, I don't think it does that carelessly. I think the fact that it makes it so no one is safe, no matter their age, no matter who they are or anything, I think it adds to the sense of tragedy that seems to be a very through line with this particular installment. This installment wants you to know on an emotional level the damage that is being done when these things are happening. Be prepared for character background dumps. There are a number of scenes that happen in this movie where the action seemingly stops, not for very long, but in that moment when the action stops, there is dialogue that kind of is more so about some type of past situation with a character and their emotions about that and why they made that choice and their feelings. And while I do think that gave us a little bit more to chew on with some of the characters, there were times, like maybe after the third time that it happened, where I was like, I don't know if these things would actually happen in the midst of everything that's going on, that people would have time to stop and do a heart-to-heart. Exactly. This is also a fast-paced movie. It's an hour and 50 minutes, nearly 2 hours, but it did not feel like that. Things get started very quickly. It does not waste time on too much exposition dump about the previous installment or anything going on there. Those who enjoy 70s and 80s style horror will probably enjoy this one a little bit more than Fear Street 1994. My final twisted grade for Fear Street 1978 is an A. This trilogy is well on its way to being one of my faves.